Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the John Truman Wolfe Financial Hour. Now, here's John Truman Wolfe.
Hello, folks. John Truman Wolfe here with the John Truman Wolfe Financial Hour. Happy April. Happy spring. Happy April Fool's Day to you. Gorgeous, gorgeous day up here in the mountains north of Los Angeles. The sun is shining. Not a cloud in the sky. It's absolutely fantastic. Spring is here. Hope it's nice where you are, and I'll start the show off as I do each week with a quick rundown of the day's financial stat. I'm going to try and do this quickly as we've got a guest that's going to be a fantastic interview. So stay with us. The Dow Jones closed 33,153 plus 177. As I've been saying for weeks, there's no ceiling that I can see for the Dow in the near future. 35,000, 40,000, 50,000 would not surprise on the Dow would not surprise me at all. S&P 4,019 plus 47. The Nasdaq up 232 to 13,480. Gold recovered in the last couple of days. It just got hammered earlier in the week down into the 1600s. Closed today at 1730, up 2150. At least back into the 1700s. It's still got a ways to go, quite a ways to go to get back to its, flirting with 2000. Silver, 24.91, up 51 cents. Silver's been hanging around that $25 an ounce area for a long time, which means it's being accumulated. To the cryptos, cryptos are having a good 24 hours. Very strong. Bitcoin, 59,319, up about 0.5% in the last 24 hours. Flirting with 60,000. I think if it breaks 60, I mean, its high a couple of weeks ago was 61,680, if memory serves me right. Don't quote me exactly on that number, but it was just shy of 62,000, and it's teasing it going there. But Ether has been the hero here in the last 24 hours. Ethereum, $1,977, just shy of 2,000. And I think hopefully it'll break the 2,000. I think if Ethereum breaks 2,000, it's going to run. It's up 2.2%. Ripple, XRP, which is the trading symbol, Ripple, 57.6 cents, up 2.4% in the last 24 hours. It's been holding, Ripple's been holding on despite the SEC's lawsuit. As we've talked about before, when the SEC sued and some of the exchanges took it off the exchanges, it went down, but it bounced back up. So 57 cents. Tron, one of my favorites, and full disclosure, I own some Tron, up to 8.6 cents. It's actually down from yesterday about 7%. And EOS has done really well, $5.51, up 16%. And that's the financial stats for the day. I'm John Truman Wolfe. This is the John Truman Wolfe Financial Hour. We'll be right back with Stephen Hayes, the head of the Fair Tax Organization in the United States. Stay with us.
When you invest, what do you need? Investors need foresight and prediction so they can invest with confidence. Is the stock market going up and down? What about precious metals or Bitcoin? The stock market may be treading water right now, but now may be a more opportune time to invest in precious metals. Are gold and silver booming? What do you buy? Bullion? Mining stocks? Which ones? The cryptocurrency market is also advancing strongly, but which ones do you buy? John Truman Wolfe, former banker and #1 best-selling author, gives you the answers in his widely read newsletter, Strategic Financial Intelligence, available at strategicfinancialintelligence.com. Wolfe called the breakout of the gold market and the breakout of the silver market. He may not have a crystal ball, but his investment picks tell a story. Metals and digital currencies are on the move. Don't miss out. Go to strategicfinancialintelligence.com and get the Strategic Financial Intelligence newsletter today. strategicfinancialintelligence.com.
All right, folks, we're back. John Truman Wolfe here with the John Truman Wolfe Financial Hour. And on the line with us is Steve Hayes, who is the and Steve, I'm not sure exactly what your title is. Is it chairman of Fair Tax?
It is. I'm also the president, but chairman and president of Fair Tax, which is Americans for Fair Taxation, actually is the company, but it's under Fair Tax, and the website's fairtax.org.
So this is an organization, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I'll let Steve tell the story, but if there is a more hated organization in the United States, it's the IRS. I'm not. I guess I shouldn't engender that kind of emotion right off on this, but I'm not a fan of the IRS, and most people are not. Because they penalize production. They take your money away when you produce it. That said, that's my 25 words or less. Steve, tell us about the fair tax.
Well, the fair tax is a not really radical reform. If you look back to how our country started, it's an excise tax, which is what was allowed in the Constitution. And basically, it is a national retail sales tax that is on new goods and retail services. It's 23%, which is the amount to be revenue neutral to the current system. It replaces the income tax, both personal and corporate, and also, and very importantly, the payroll tax. So instead of trying to collect revenue from the government by taking it out of people's wages through income and payroll tax, what happens is you have the person who's working get all of their money, and then they go to the store and they decide how much tax they're going to pay based on what they spent. We have set it up so that in many respects it has a similar standard deduction, if you want to call it that, for people who understand it better. But it's a tax credit which lets a family of four make purchases up to $33,000. And because of the prebate, the tax credit, they're not going to pay any of the fair tax. So for many people making under $50,000, they're going to be paying less tax if they pay everything toward taxable goods, and they're paying under the present system. So it's not regressive. It actually is maybe the other way for people, because there's no more regressive tax in the country than the Social Security tax. As you know, John, it takes from $1, whether you've got 10 kids or zero, and basically takes it and ends off up at a different number, like I think it's $130,000 this year. So that's what the fair tax is. It's a new way of taxing things, but again, it's only on new goods. So if that person goes out and, knowing you, John, you're going to be buying that brand new Mercedes every other year.
Yeah,
You're
right.
going to pay the fair tax. I'm going to go out and I'm going to pick up your used Mercedes, and I'm not going to pay the fair tax. So it's only on new goods. So you and I both have the opportunity to choose how much tax we're going to pay by how we spend our money. And
now,
that's
Steve, you mentioned
totally different.
It is totally different. You mentioned the term a regressive tax. You want to define that for the audience?
Yeah, a regressive tax is generally a tax that punishes people making less money than people making more money. I mean, I'm making it really simple. I'm sure you've got a better, more distinct definition, but that's really the way I look at it. And most people, when they talk about regressive, they're talking about a tax that adversely affects lower income people more than people making higher incomes. And a lot of the way the state sales taxes are set up, that's what they do, because they start off at $1 and they charge it. They try to compensate for some of this by saying we're not going to tax, for example, food. We're not going to tax that. But
right.
Anything that's a flat tax, and honestly, the fair tax, if we did not have built in the prebate, which is what we call it, the tax credit, would have some of those same negative effects. But if anything, we are actually giving a benefit to lower income people, and then higher income people are going to probably pay as much or more tax than they're paying today. A lot of wealthy people that I've talked to have done the calculations, quickly, and they're going to pay more tax under the fair tax than they're paying today because of all of the various gimmicks that they can utilize. So,
yeah, but they have a choice. It's their choice, right?
Oh, absolutely. No, it's totally their choice. If someone chooses to spend the money, they're going to pay the tax. If they want to go out and buy that yacht, then they're going to pay the sales tax. Now, the other part of this, Bruce, that I think is really important as a factor, and it's one of the reasons why many people in Congress, it's not the only reason by far, but one of the reasons they don't like it, is that today you can talk to anyone. I could talk to you, and you're very, very astute in this area, but I bet you'd be a bit puzzled by how you would answer. I could say, Bruce, how much do you actually pay in taxes to the federal government? And you first thought, most people have, well, my income tax is blah, 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 and my payroll tax is this amount. And that's, a logical answer. But when you look at it, what's really going on is that when you have corporations, they claim they want to raise the corporate tax. Biden wants to go back up to 28%. When you do that, it's a cost of doing business, and what they do is they pass it on to each of us in the prices we pay. So when, for you to calculate how much tax you really paid the federal government, you'd have to try to figure out how much tax was in all of those things that you buy. And that's hidden from you. And so they've managed to disguise a lot of the other taxes that we pay. And one of the things that really worries them is the transparency issue, because with the fair tax, you're going to see, and I say you, but every single American that's a consumer, which is about everybody, is going to see the cost of the federal government every time they make a purchase.
All right, folks, we're talking to Stephen Hayes, the president of Fair Tax, the proposal to replace the income tax. And again, personal income tax, corporate income tax, payroll tax with a national sales tax. So the decision to pay the tax is yours. You spend the money. We're going to come back and talk to Mr. Hayes after this break. I'm John Truman Wolfe. This is the John Truman Wolfe Financial Hour. We'll be right back with Steve Hayes of the Fair Tax, fairtax.org. Stay with us.
For the getaway of your dreams, come to Hawaii's Playground. Ka'anapali Beach Resort on the fun side of Maui, where the world comes to play. Find your spot on Ka'anapali Beach with 3 miles of white sand, 12 resort properties, 2 golf courses, and 2 shopping centers. Enjoy the playground of Hawaii's ancient royalty. Ka'anapali Beach Resort is Hawaii's original master plan destination resort and home of the Hawaii Food and Wine Festival. With views of 2 neighboring islands, you can breathe in the land's natural beauty from your favorite resort or golf fairway. Come experience Ka'anapali's own special brand of Hawaiian hospitality with world-class dining, relaxing resorts, water sports, and activities of every kind. For romantic, family, and great friend getaways, discover the options of Ka'anapali Beach Resort, where the world comes to play. Plan your getaway today. Visit Ka'anapaliResort.com. That's KAANAPALI Resort.com.
The smartest way for you to get the lowest prices on your plane tickets, domestic or international, is to call SmartFares first or last, but you've got to call us before you book your plane tickets. Fly anywhere in the world, fly anywhere in the U.S., and SmartFares can save you up to 75% on your plane tickets. We have the lowest airline ticket prices on over 500 airlines, and you've got a great 12-hour free cancellation window. Plus, with our live agent help, you can always get fast help and fast answers. So on your next trip, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, how about right now? Pick up your phone and call SmartFares, plus save up to 75% on your plane reservation. So call right now. 800-915-2644, 800-915-2644, 800-915-2644, 800-915-2644.
The old way of living with diabetes is a pain. You've got to remember to do your testing, and you always need to be sticking your fingers. The new way to live your life with diabetes is with a continuous glucose monitor. You simply apply a discreet, easy-to-use sensor on your body, and it continuously monitors your glucose levels, helping you spend more time in range and freeing you from painful finger pricks. If you test your blood sugar at least 4 times per day and inject insulin at least 3 times per day, or use an insulin pump and have private insurance or Medicare, you might be eligible for a CGM with little or no cost to you. Call U.S. Medical Supply today for a free benefits check. We offer free shipping, 90-day supplies, and we bill Medicare or your insurance directly. Call now and say goodbye to finger pricks.
800-633-1378. 800-633-1378. 800-633-1378. That's 800-633-1378.
All right, folks, we're back. I'm John Truman Wolfe. This is the John Truman Wolfe Financial Hour, talking to the president of the Fair Tax, Steve Hayes, about replacing the income tax, personal income tax, corporate income tax, payroll tax, with a retail sales tax. You brought it up first, Steve, although I was going to. So Biden's proposals are to jack these taxes up, both corporate and personal, aren't they?
It's only going to apply to people making $400,000, but if you start reading it, you see all the little gotchas that are in there. For example, one of them I think is really, well, it's typical of D.C., and I'm talking about D.C. mean both Democrats and Republicans, unfortunately, in most part. But, one of the examples that says that they want to get rid of the step-up in basis when you inherit property. In other words, for your listeners, if Uncle Joe passes away and leaves you a condo in Maui that he paid $100,000 for 30 years ago that's worth $600,000, you get it today under current law, and you get what's called a step-up in basis. In other words, it's the value today. So if the value today is $600,000, that means that when you sell it, and let's say you sell it for $600,000, you would owe no tax because you had a step up in the basis for which you're going to be taxed. In other words, there's no tax. Under Biden's well, actually it's Bernie Sanders, but one of them that Biden has endorsed, what would happen is that Uncle Joe leaves you the condo, which is really nice. $100,000 is what he paid for it. You sell it for $600,000. Under Biden's proposal, you're going to have to pay a gain on $500,000. You may have to pay $100,000 in tax, even though you're making $60,000 a year.
Right.
Because that's the tax you're going to pay on the gain. So what he's doing is he's trying to slide things in, and you're not going to really know about it if you're, making less than $400,000 until something like that happens. And there are other things that could come into play. Plus, what he's counting on is that by increasing the other taxes, the corporate tax and what's called the GILTI, which is the tax on overseas income that doesn't come back, to keep, from having companies hide money overseas so much. What he's talking about doing is doubling that, by the way, from 10.5 to, it's one proposal was 25, one was 22. But what's going to happen is all those taxes that are going to be paid are going to be put in the price of goods, and you and I are going to pay them, Bruce, whether we're making $5,000 a year or $500,000. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So because the income tax has that ability, and they're going to make deductions not available if you have certain thresholds of income. I mean, all sorts of ways to get the money, because what people, I think, really don't understand, and this happens a lot, is that the way we've been conditioned is that the only money that we earn is what we have after taxes. It's not what we earned, it's what we bring home, because practically that's the case. And any time you take $1 out of someone's earnings, you reduce their ability to consume by $1. Whether it's through a sales tax, whether it's through an income tax, a payroll tax, or if it's basically by making you pay $1 more for a good or service because of the corporate taxes and all these other taxes he's piled on. So what you have then is a situation where any tax reduces your consumption. Well, people say, Steve, what are you talking about? You're going to mean that if I go to the store and I buy groceries and I pay $200 for my groceries, you're going to increase that 23%. You're going to have a 23% sales tax on that. And the answer is yes. And they look at you like, well, I can't afford that. I'm barely able to feed my family now. And you say, well, let's look at the reason for that. How much money do you have to earn in order to net $200?
All right, folks. Steve, let me have you pause right there. We're going to take a break, come back, and continue talking to Steve Hayes, the president of FairTax, fairtax.org, to replace the income tax with the national sales tax. Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back.
For the best food, drinks, and fun, come to the Ramp Bar and Grill in Burbank, California. Open Monday through Saturday from 4 to 9 p.m. Happy hour from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. $5 margaritas. Start with great mouth-watering charbroiled chicken nachos, cheesy garlic bread, the best in town, steamed clams, buffalo wings and onion rings, the best soups and salads, seafood specialties like calamari, shrimp scampi, fresh salmon, filet of sole, halibut, trout, sand dabs, and more. Steaks? Yum. Ribeye, filet, even prime rib. The best burgers in town, too. And enjoy our complete Italian menu. Ravioli, lasagna, linguine, tortellini, fettuccine, spaghetti, sausage and peppers, capellini, pomodoro, chicken parmesan, and more. And don't forget our homemade cheesecakes and desserts. All at the Ramp Bar and Grill, 7730 North Hollywood Way, minutes from the airport in Burbank, California. Call 818-768-6499. Takeout and delivery by Postmates, too. The Ramp. Don't miss it. The Ramp in Burbank.
Stop the presses. Cue the chorus. The musical ensemble, Columbo's, has triumphantly reopened. Columbo's has thrown open its golden doors to deliciousness and delightment to please the palate of a panting public in desperate need of greatness and grandeur and all-around phenomenal, gleeful times and gratifyingly glorious grub. You see, when you really want and need Italian food, you have got to get to Columbo's. Columbo's Italian Steakhouse and Jazz Club, Colorado Boulevard, Eagle Rock. Yes, it's that little neighborhood place you wish was down the street from you. Yes, the world's greatest steaks, the very best catch for the 7 Seas. Columbo's family Italian recipes and internationally acclaimed meatballs beckon your reappearance at the House of Yum Yum. Do dreams come true? Oh, yes, they do. Columbo's is open with reckless abandon to sate your insatiable senses. Columbo's, that little neighborhood place you wish was down the street from you. Columbo's, mangia bene.
If Ernest Hemingway was alive today, would he say this to you?
Shakespeare, Mark Twain, Edgar Allan Poe, all great writers. And after reading your book, I simply must add you to the list.
Wait, you don't have a book yet. So make a free call to Page Publishing. Their expert staff can help you turn your book idea into a real book, a masterpiece that could someday make the bestseller list in hard copy and digitally all across the world. Page Publishing can help you completely take your idea for a book, write it, and publish it. So if you want to join the ranks of some of the most famous authors in the world, call now for a free information kit. Turn your book idea into publishing gold. Make a free call right now to Page Publishing.
800-378-3212. 800-378-3212. 800-378-3212. That's 800-378-3212.
When you invest, what do you need? Investors need foresight and prediction so they can invest with confidence. Is the stock market going up and down? What about precious metals or Bitcoin? The stock market may be treading water right now, but now may be a more opportune time to invest in precious metals. Are gold and silver booming? What do you buy? Bullion? Mining stocks? Which ones? The cryptocurrency market is also advancing strongly, but which ones do you buy? John Truman Wolfe, former banker and #1 best-selling author, gives you the answers in his widely read newsletter, Strategic Financial Intelligence, available at strategicfinancialintelligence.com. Wolfe called the breakout of the gold market and the breakout of the silver market. He may not have a crystal ball, but his investment picks tell a story. Metals and digital currencies are on the move. Don't miss out. Go to strategicfinancialintelligence.com and get the Strategic Financial Intelligence newsletter today. strategicfinancialintelligence.com.
And we're back. John Truman Wolfe here, broadcasting from the gorgeous mountains north of Los Angeles, talking to Steve Hayes, the president of Fairtax, fairtax.org, the agenda to replace the income tax with a national sales tax. And Steve, I don't know if we cut you off there. You were making a point.
I was just making the point that everybody is going to be affected by his tax hikes. He's going to be putting, higher prices. We're going to pay it. We're going to pay higher prices. We're already paying higher prices at the pump because of the moves that he's taken. We're going to pay higher prices on all of the things we buy, but from his point of view and Congress's point of view, the good news is it'll be hidden from us. Whereas if you have a retail sales tax, if they try to raise the rate of the sales tax, every single person in America is going to see it. It's not going to be the top 5% of earners that complain. It's going to be 100% of the people because they see it. It's not hidden. And when you look at another factor, which is really huge, is we are in a situation of international trade where everybody's economy is tied to everybody else's economy. Under the present system, we are the only one of the major developed countries that does not have some form of value-added tax, which is simply a consumption tax taxed differently than the retail sales tax.
Right.
But what happens under the present law is that our products are made in the United States, and they have embedded in them the cost of our tax system, which is between 15 and 20%. And when we export to go compete in Europe, for example, we send it over, and I'm going to just make it simple, at $1 cost, and it gets to their shores. They add their value-added tax, whether it's 15%, 20%, whatever, and then it's sold in their markets at that higher price. Reverse that. Let's say that somebody's going to be sending wine to California from France. Well, what happens is when it's at the dock to be exported, the exporter can get a rebate, a refund of all the value-added taxes. And let's assume that they have the same 15, 20% built-in taxes. They get that back at the border, and when it gets here then, their cost is 80 cents. Now, you would say, well, what do we put on it? Well, frankly, we don't have any tax that we put on when they arrive. So they're competing against us. We have a product of $1. They have a product at 80 cents. Now, they're not going to sell it at 80 cents probably. They're going to probably sell it at 90 cents. It's just more profit for them. Whereas with a sales tax, it's only purchased in the U.S. So the product is manufactured, goes to the dock. It's never had a cent of federal tax added to it. So it goes across at 80 cents. It gets there. They put on their value-added tax. But we're now competing equally with Europe. And when Europe or China or someone sends product over here, instead of it being allowed to have that 15 to 20% advantage over American products, which puts a lot of American products out of business, suddenly they get taxed the same way that they would have been in their country through the retail sales tax, though, the simpler tax. And now we're on a much more even footing. Now we've got a much better chance of keeping jobs here, and we're no longer subsidizing imports and penalizing our own exports. So there's lots of economic reasons why the fair tax, not only does it eliminate the ability of the politicians to hide the taxes, which I think is really, really important if you want to have a responsible electorate. They need to know what things cost. You know, who's going to go out and buy a car, and you ask the dealer how much is it, and the dealer goes, well, here's the keys, sign this contract, and we'll let you know later. That's effectively what's happening under the present tax system. We don't have a clue what it is. We know, based on prior history, that when you tell me you're going to spend $2 trillion and almost all of it's going to be administered by the government. All of us remember Boston, where they were, 4 times an overrun over what they had said. And, you know, and all the projects that they've done here, they've all been way, way, way over the estimated budget. So it's not going to be $2 trillion. It might be $4 trillion before it's finished. And yet they're talking, Bruce, about how we're going to pay for this and we're going to raise the taxes. Well, we are going to pay. The we is correct. It's not just the guy making over $400,000. It's everybody else. Plus, what they ignore is that when they put that on people in small business, because a lot of those people in that $300,000-400,000 range have small businesses, meaning under 500 employees, that's creating almost all of the jobs in this country. Now, what is that guy going to do? He's just going to take a hit on his income of maybe, you know, another $30,000 to $40,000 in taxes when you add it all together, and he's going to sit there and say, oh, no problem. I'm just going to reduce my income that much. I'm not going to do anything. Let's take that 20% credit that a small business gets right now. They're going to eliminate that. So he has his taxes increased, and he may have, instead of making $400, he may make $300.
On the Steve, on the I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but on the 400 now, isn't the 400 joint income? Isn't it 200 for an individual, or is it 400?
No, I think, well, it's based on two different ways. There are two different proposals. One proposal is exactly what you said, the joint income.
Right.
The other is that it's going to effectively be $800. And I don't think that one has been really talked about much, but they're really talking about $400, which would be $200 each.
$200 each.
So, yeah, that's really
right.
where I think they're going. Right now it's hard to say because intentionally they make it very, very vague.
All right, folks. John Truman Wolfe here. We're talking to Steve Hayes, the president of the Fair Tax, fairtax.org. Go on up there, take a look around. We'll be right back. I'm John Truman Wolfe. This is the John Truman Wolfe Financial Hour. You stay with us. We'll be right back.
Now it's time for MedVed's Entertainment Minute.
An ordinary suburban family experiences a home invasion robbery that ends up exposing the secret, shocking past of the long-suffering dad played by Bob Odenkirk, who keeps insisting he's really just nobody. Now playing in select theaters.
There's a long dormant piece of me now awake. I want so very badly to play this out.
And you'll want so badly for these sympathetic characters to survive as they're menaced by an unspeakably brutal Russian-American crime boss played by the convincingly creepy Alexei Serebrякov. The levels of violence are shocking, even excessive, for a well-deserved R rating, and the near superhuman powers of the protagonist become difficult to accept, but you're still rooting for him and for this skillfully made movie. 2.5 stars for Nobody, which is brutal but engaging and strong enough to inspire likely sequels.
This feature brought to you by the Thank Heaven Foundation.
Attention real estate investors. Do you need cash immediately? If you own one or multiple rental properties, you can use your equity to get cash out fast. The best part is we don't need tax returns or even a good credit score. At America's Loan Source, we are not a bank and we don't have bank rules. We make the decisions to loan you money, and there's no limit how much we can give you. Some clients have gotten as much as $500,000 or more within days. Use the money any way you want. If you own one rental property or 100 and COVID has left you in a cash crunch, we can help you turn your equity into fast cash. Call now for details and close in as little as 10 days and get the cash you need. 800-353-1760. 800-353-1760. 800-353-1760. That's 800-353-1760.
All right, folks, we're back. John Truman Wolfe here with the John Truman Wolfe Financial Hour, talking to Steve Hayes, the president of Fair Tax. And Steve, comment for a bit on what folks can do, and I assume they can donate at your site. I mean, not that that's your the purpose here, but folks that are interested in forwarding the idea of a fair tax, I presume, can donate. And is fairtax.org a nonprofit?
It's a nonprofit, but we are a C4 because we are a lobbying group, so it's not tax deductible. But we are a nonprofit, and what people can do is sign up for our newsletter and keep informed, and they can go to fairtax.org, and they can also, we willingly will accept donations and help us, further this along, because we really believe, Bruce, that a lot of the systemic problems in D.C. can be channeled back and found in the income tax. You've got this incredible lobbyist group that loves any kind of changes because anybody that's going to be affected pours tens and hundreds of millions of dollars into lobbying, which goes back to Congress.
Yeah.
And it's just a corruption in that. And plus what you said in the beginning is so important not to forget. You take kids. They have now made it so complicated that when I was a little one, I was able to go out, and I did because, frankly, I wanted to, but also I needed to, to make extra money, and I did all kinds of odd jobs. I cut lawns. I did all kinds of things. Never worried about the income tax at all. And it wasn't until I got my first job on salary when I was 14 that I couldn't believe how much they were taking. You know,
right.
It's like Chris Rock said, it's not what it's that you pay it, it's taken from you because they take it out of your check. And they do not reward the things that we believe, as most parents, my case, grandparents, and that is that you should reward good conduct. You should reward people who work.
Right.
You shouldn't punish them by telling them, well, you're working, so therefore we are going to take part of what you made and we're going to give it to other people that we decide need it more. I mean, that is, to me, just absolutely stupid.
Stupid and non-productive. Now, there isn't. Does it make sense at this point for folks to contact their representatives and senators on the subject? There's not There's not a bill in Congress on that. Oh,
there is. H.R. 25.
Oh, okay.
We've got about 25 co-sponsors. We've had as many as 70, but a lot of our guys have retired, and we're building back up again. And interestingly enough, Bruce, and this I think is really indicative, back in the 90s, I used to go into Charlie Rangel's office. And, you know, Charlie was actually, even though he turned out to be a rogue, he was a very charming rogue. And he told me one time that he felt like the sales tax was going to be the ultimate tax system because it was the only way they could continue to collect enough tax to fund his programs, because even back in the 90s, the growing amount of people that were evading the income payroll tax.
Right.
And there's a study on our site. If you go to our site, fairtax.org, under research, you'll find a study where an economist has gone through and taken IRS numbers, and he predicts, based on the normal appreciation and evasion rates, that they're going to be $1 trillion this year. Well, Ben Cardin, who's a senator from Maryland, who's certainly not a liberal, when I talked to Ben, he freely admitted that he took part of his plan directly from us because he was going to have the first $100,000 of income that somebody made would only be subject to a sales tax. If you made more than $100,000, he would add in an income tax, and then he'd have a value-added tax, you know, a tax like they have in Europe. And Ben is by far one of the more liberal senators, but he realized that evasion was a problem. He realized that trade was a problem, and he thought this was a step toward helping fix some of that. And he and I were going to work together, and then suddenly he went radio silent, and I heard from another member of Congress from Maryland that Hillary Clinton had assured him that he should, you know, keep to himself, because when she was elected, she was going to make his plan her tax reform bill. And, of course, we know what happened. She wasn't elected. But there are Democrats who, you know, who now can't say, oh, it's a terrible tax. Why? Because Ben was going to, you know, he was going to impose it on people making up to $100,000, just like the fair tax. He's going to have a tax credit, prebate, and everything. So I think it's a very real possibility, because most of the people who are evading taxes right now, Bruce, and evading is not paying because you're taking deductions properly. It's because you literally make up deductions or literally don't report income. It's a criminal act under the law. Most of those people are making less than $100,000 a year, and they're self.
All right, folks, we've been talking to Steve Hayes, the president of Fair Tax. Steve, thank you so much for sharing this. To listeners, go to fairtax.org. Read about the retail sales tax, replacing the income tax. Throw them some money, donate, and we'll be back with the final seconds right after this. Again, Steve, thank you so much for being with us.
Great being with you, John. Hope we do it again.
Okay.
Spring forward at Banana Republic Factory with 50 to 70% off everything. Shop season favorites from colorful dresses to easy tops from $19.99. Find your nearest store or shop online only at Banana Republic Factory. Enjoy 50 to 70% off almost everything at Gap Factory and gapfactory.com. Shop tees from $6.99 and joggers from $24.99. Plus extra 15% off online. Exclusions apply. Shop the sale through April 6th.
Guys, we need to clear a path here.
Indeed knows unexpected employee turnover can stall your business.
Like tonight. John.
Like at Chris's Logistics Company. To avoid things grinding to a halt, he needs to get started hiring right away.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. And the moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get a $75 credit for your first sponsored job post. Terms and conditions apply.
It's totally normal to be constipated with belly pain, straining, and bloating again and again.
No way. You could have a chronic condition called irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C. Linzess, or linaclotide, is a prescription that treats IBS-C in adults. Linzess works differently than laxatives to help relieve belly pain and let you have more frequent and complete bowel movements. Individual results may vary. Do not give to children less than 6, and it should not be given to children 6 to less than 18. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Talk to your doctor today. You may be able to save on Linzess and make fewer trips to the pharmacy. See if you're eligible to pay as little as $30 for 90 days. Visit linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS. Sponsored by AbbVie and Ironwood Pharmaceuticals.
For the getaway of your dreams, come to Hawaii's Playground, Ka'anapali Beach Resort, on the fun side of Maui, where the world comes to play. Find your spot on Ka'anapali Beach with 3 miles of white sand, 12 resort properties, 2 golf courses, and 2 shopping centers. Enjoy the playground of Hawaii's ancient royalty. Ka'anapali Beach Resort is Hawaii's original master planned destination resort and home of the Hawaii Food and Wine Festival. With views of 2 neighboring islands, you can breathe in the land's natural beauty from your favorite resort or golf fairway. Come experience Ka'anapali's own special brand of Hawaiian hospitality with world-class dining, relaxing resorts, water sports, and activities of every kind. For romantic, family, and great friend getaways, discover the options of Ka'anapali Beach Resort, where the world comes to play. Plan your getaway today. Visit Ka'anapaliResort.com. That's KAANAPALI Resort.com.
All right, folks, we're back. John Truman Wolfe here. John Truman Wolfe Financial Hour. And rather than go back and edit the text here, because subscribers to my newsletter, Strategic Financial Intelligence, strategicfinancialintelligence.com, get a version of the show. We send the show to a service that converts it to text, and then the subscribers get a text of the show. And I'm not going to go back and edit out my old friend Steve Hayes calling me Bruce throughout the show. And for listeners and readers, most people know that John Truman Wolfe is my pen name. I write all my books under the name John Truman Wolfe. I publish my newsletter under the name John Truman Wolfe, which is a pen name. And I took that name because it was my grandfather's name. I wanted a authorly kind of name. John Truman Wolfe had some strength to it. Bruce Wiseman didn't sound so much like an author. And so Steve, who I've known for many years, calling me Bruce and John back and forth. At any rate, back to his organization, the Fair Tax. I'm telling you, if we replace the personal income tax, a corporate income tax, a payroll tax, and all the other hidden taxes that Steve was talking about with a national retail sales tax, this country would boom. It would flourish and prosper in ways that are unimaginable. Let me wrap the show up and go back to the cryptocurrency markets, because they're booming. The altcoins, and again, to define for listeners, as I do repeatedly, altcoin means any coin other than Bitcoin, have been booming. Some of them I mentioned at the top of the show. EOS is doing very, very well. Tron, I bought, I don't know, like a week ago at a nickel. It went up to about 9.5 cents, and it fell back down to about 8.5 cents. But the graph on Tron is really handsome. I really like it. EOS is doing very well. Ethereum, at least when we started the show an hour ago, was trading a few dollars short of 2,000. And Ethereum has got, in my opinion, has got a long way to go. Meaning, I think my target for Ethereum is about 5,000. We'll see if that comes off. The precious metals markets, I have said for some time, it's kind of a buying opportunity. They have been laggardly. They have been just limping along. But folks, always have some precious metals in your portfolio. And I encourage you, store them at home. Don't leave them in the bank or in some service. If there is a financial crisis, if the banks, if the derivatives in the banks explode, banks, there will be a bank holiday. I'm not saying this is happening tomorrow. I'm just saying it's a possibility. And if there's a bank holiday, you won't have access to your ATM cards. You won't have access to your credit cards. So have some precious metals in the home, gold and silver, primarily silver. And for new listeners, the newsletter, Strategic Financial Intelligence, strategicfinancialintelligence.com. I make recommendations on cryptos, some gold mining stocks, and even some REITs, REITs, real estate investment trusts. So if you want to be educated, particularly on the booming cryptocurrency market, which is a whole new area of investing, subscribe to Strategic Financial Intelligence at Strategic Financial Intelligence. I'm John Truman Wolfe. You guys have a nice weekend. We'll see you here next Thursday at 4 o'clock LA time. Bye-bye.
Are you tired of your favorite talk show sounding like this? What if